Welcome back, channel. Today's video is gonna be a little different. I'm gonna sit here, go on a little bit of a rant about all the different things that can hold us up. Look at the man back there. He's gonna be part of the intro and you don't even know it. That's the guy, the man, Dalton. I'm gonna talk to you about the struggles and the trials and tribulations that you can, it's not all about running out there, grabbing a contract, throwing some equipment down and making some money. What's the other things that aren't talked about, said, unforeseeable conditions, no matter what you can do about engineering, site conditions, etc. And man, has it really pummeled us the first of this year. So why not talk about it a little bit? I need to get a little more insightful here in this channel, and that's coming this year, guys. So you guys saw me, I just worked. First problem of the day, time check's 10 o'clock, and me and Will have got a pretty busy day, but I had to get that low boy brake chamber busted loose. It's DOT Blitz week, so Calvin's gonna go grab, it's 10 o'clock, it sucks, it is what it is. Trying to keep one of our projects moving, get a few things off a project, and it just took a crap and got some dust in it and trying to get it out and just couldn't get it. And Calvin's gonna grab a new brake pod, throw that on there, so Mr. Jim can get that taken care of. What are we gonna do today? Let's just talk, channel, come on.
Bill and Rusty were headed back over to JB to move that stuff, and the linkage for the transmission just dropped. And so Bill crawls
Running theme for this video.
Hey, Bill got her fixed, baby.
Of course he did.
Underneath there, a couple zip ties. He zip tied the linkage in drive so they could move, but every time they stop, he's crawl back underneath there and cut the linkage and put it in mark, and then we'll leave it there. So I'm gonna run that.
Sounds like we have a lot of mechanical issues around here at SciCon.
No, we'll be okay.
No, it's totally okay. If you don't mind, if you guys are struggling with anything I've talked about here and we can relate, drop that stuff down in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your opinions. I know I'm probably gonna get a little picked apart on my view of it, I guess you would say. And that's totally fine. I'm here to hopefully help the 2 or 3 guys that I help, and I'll be perfectly okay with that. The topic's kind of dreary, just like you can see, pardon me, by the title. What are some of the struggles we face? Number 1 is business owners. Number 2 is excavation business owners. Number 1, Mother Nature. How do you combat Mother Nature? When you're buying equipment, when you're hiring, staffing, when you're doing whatever, how do you combat the weather? Well, one thing I like to do when I'm talking about trucks, crews, or especially equipment, I'll put things on a 44-week. Golly, I'm up here burping and stuff. I'll put stuff on a 44-week schedule throughout the year, right? So why do I do 44 weeks? Well, there's 52 weeks in a year. Yeah, but you got Christmas and New Year's. Then you got Thanksgiving. And there's basically 2 weeks chopped out of the year. I take a month for maintenance, so there's 4 weeks. And then take another 2 weeks. Well, you know, what if that, say if it's a truck, that driver's on vacation, or chalk another just safe 2 weeks, safeguard yourself just a little bit there. Here as of late with us, we had 7 or 8 projects coming out of the gate of this year. Winter was slow. Everything just seemed, 2024 is just unbelievably different. I don't even know how to describe it, but we had 7 or 8 projects, got them contracted. Here we go, rocking and rolling. They drag. We finally cut a tooth. And it seems like there's one project, for instance, there's power poles, there's temporary gas, there's tenants, there's all these unforeseen things, variables is the word I'm looking for, that how do you avoid them? How do you charge for them? How do you do, et cetera, I mean, because as soon as your guys run storm drain up and there's a power pole in their way, the power pole's been in my way for 6 weeks. How do you get around it, right? Well, you're waiting on so-and-so. You can be making all the phone calls and coordinating and beating every alley and road that you know to get your boys moving along. But what if it doesn't happen? And then, okay, well, we'll just pause there and we'll go to another job. Well, then you get to that job. Here's another big one in my world. It's engineering. Engineering says, okay, we're gonna do this. Well, we get out there and say, well, that can't work. And they're like, well, you don't have a degree, prove it to me. Well, then you go back and forth and you go back and forth and you try to get to a resolution, but that all takes time, right? So now we've got guys moving because of power poles. We got guys moving because it's muddy and we've had 10 inches of rain in the last little bit. We've got guys moving because of engineering problems. We've had a locate called in for 2 weeks, but nobody's shown up over there, and this is our third request. I'm just trying to give you guys all these scenarios that we have this morning. Just simply gonna move some fuel tanks or some tanks off a project. Brake chamber just out of nowhere decided to just not work this morning and had a bunch of dust built. I mean, Will was sitting there watching me beat on this thing and it was just poof, poof. I'm like, how did it just all of a sudden not work with 3 pounds of dirt in there? Anyways, what do you do about when you get on a job, say you're just starting out, you take this one job and you think that one job's gonna soak up what? Most of your year, so you don't go ahead and bid anything else. Well, what if that one job singularly has this major engineering bust? Well, you gotta sit there and wait for that engineer and that GC, sometimes city approval, sometimes state approval if it's a big enough revision. What do you do during that time? So what happens when you plan for that, and then you got 7 or 8 projects all doing that at the same time after just coming out of a pretty crappy, wet, snowy, icy, cold winter. And then we start talking about the elephant in the room: economy, costs, supplies, materials. I'm paying for pipe and gravel and concrete. I've seen concrete go from $92 a yard to $250 a yard. I've seen pipe go from $16, $18 a foot to almost $30 a foot. I've seen pipe go from $22 a foot to $38, $40 a foot. I've seen gravel go from $13 a ton to $25 a ton. Guys, we're only talking about an 8-year span. They've never gone up that much in the past 80 years in a decade. And we're sitting here, all of us together, business owners, I'm mainly speaking to you here, working through all of the variables I just talked about: the maintenance, the weather, the equipment, the people, the finances, the accounting, all of those, but then turn around and we've been dealing with the highest costs ever, a global pandemic we've come through, and if you've started in the last 5 years, you had to navigate through that. Highest taxation we have ever seen in our entire lives. I get it why I totally understand why the workload, don't get me wrong guys, there's work out there. We've got work. But the workload, especially in this area, is nothing compared to what it has been in the past 8 years. I'm talking getting like less than 1% to 2% back, and I'm talking on a very sizable amount of bids out. Everybody in the community, I don't know about you guys in your world, let me know in the comments down below, but in our world, it's Northwest Arkansas. Yes, it's big, it's growing, it's massive. We got Walmart, JB Hunt, Tyson, all these big corporate top 500 companies. But it's so small at the same time, and everybody knows everybody. And the people I'm talking to and the people I'm leaning on and I lean to advice, man, it's all not good. It's not great news. I've been sitting here telling you to this camera since December of last year. You're gonna watch me and this company go through an unreal transition. You've seen me probably not as yippee jippy for joy every single time like I have been if you go watch about a year ago. But when you start to see those numbers, things like these little variables I'm talking about, at the end of the year, stack up beyond your capacity of knowing. Trust me, I just did it. And what I'm being real with you guys, is that just went through a year, man, I thought we were on the pinnacle, we're doing great. And then I see my tax return, I'm like scratching my head. And I can sit here and I can blame the economy and I can blame all this stuff. I can blame that, I can blame this, you can put the blame everywhere else, but the blame goes right here. Sigh, that's who I am. It's on everybody's chest here, door, machine. I led them here, and it's up to me to challenge myself as a leader and as a businessman to learn how to deal with all of this. I know how to deal with it operationally, but do I know how to deal with it monetarily? Do I know how to deal with it contractually? Those are the types of things. Yes, we operate under contracts. I'm talking about unforeseen craziness. I don't know if it's you guys, but in 2024, Sycon has had the most amount of crazy possible happen. It seems like every day. And you can get down, you can get depressed, and you can hide in a corner, or you can rack your brain every moment you're awake, figuring out how to get past this, how to get around this, get creative. If the workload, like we've been talking about here, is definitely, let me explain something to you guys. It's called the vertical impact. It's what I call it, okay? Vertical impact, say we've got, let's keep numbers pretty basic. Let's say $500 million worth of market in your area, okay? You got the big boys up at the top, the titans, okay? They're gonna soak up a good percentage of that. They're probably gonna take, 50 to 100 a piece. Okay, say we got 2 or 3 titans like we do in this area. So about half the market's gone there very easily. Now we start getting into, I would say about 40% of the market's sewed up there. So now you've got this good chunk and percentage of the middle ground. And that's kind of where I am. Don't get me wrong, I play up in that market, but I also play down here as well, right? So these guys that are doing $100 to $50 million revenue, they need that amount of money just to survive because they got a ton of overhead. Well, you got guys like me in this middle ground that have some hefty overhead, but nothing compared to those boys. So if that 500 million all of a sudden goes to 250 million or 150 million of market size, what do these big titans do at the top? Well, these big titans, if that 50, that 100 million, that those size jobs, those 25, those 10s don't come out, well, guess what? Where do they start going? They start going down. How about that $1 million range? How about that $5 million range? Can we get those jobs? We can sew those up. We did those 10 years ago, 20, 50, 15 years ago. Let's go back to that market. So then they jump down here and they gobble that up. So what about these boys like myself, that 1 to 5 game? What are you gonna do? Well, we go down. We go down into that 500K, that 100K market, and we gobble that up. Well, what about these boys down here in the 500 to 100K market? Well, guess what they do? They go down. They go down between that 0 to 100K mark and they gobble all that up. Well, then what about these boys that are just down here with a Mini X and a skid steer just trying to get by? And, maybe gobble up a 100K in a year or whatever. That work that gets all the way down, it's not there anymore. Because these guys above them, in what I call the vertical impact scenario, these guys above them are all gobbling up and doing things out of the normal just to keep revenue going. So I wanted to break that down for you guys, but that's what I mean when I say the market is re-gearing. And it's not just, yes, interest rates are high, costs are high. Well, you've got competitors, big guys playing in littler markets that they're not normally in, that the competition's not as heavy. I'm turning bids in at places that we were the sole bidder 18, 24 months ago. Now there's 15 to 20 bids turning in. It's unreal. But I just told you why. If that market isn't there and it shrinks, they got to do what they got to do. Let's go back to what we're dealing with currently. We have this market scenario happening. We have all of these 2024 economy struggles over here. But what do you do about these small problems? And they all just compound on this side of the table. I'm talking about Mother Nature. I'm talking about snow, ice. I'm talking about rain. I'm talking about guys not wanting to show up, guys, whatever. I'm talking about equipment breaking down. I'm talking about engineer problems. That scenario on this side of the table, how do you combat that, man? Well, number one, you start coordinating. Get people on site as fast as you humanly possibly can. And guess what? There's no obligation for them to show up other than hopefully they're a good person and they do their job well. But what I'm trying to get at is you have got to be the pusher. Nobody in our world is going to do anything without being pushed. Excavation, utilities, engineers, etc. Just in that whole industry as a game. You got to be poking, and right now you got to poke more than ever. The weather guys, hey, big shout out to Ryan Hall with the Y'all Squad. I have been watching him for about over a year. On the weather side of things, if you're running your company off a 7-day Apple weather and weather is a big player in your game, get to know what the weather does. Understand what the weather's doing. There's so many YouTube channels out there that can help you forecast, give you as much information as possible to hopefully get ahead of that game. I understand it's a total guessing game. They can be wrong anyways, but the more information and knowledge that you have, the better decision you can make, right? But 2024, combating what we've just gone through with weather on top of has been extremely difficult. This year is going to be a majorly different year for us in some good ways, some not so good ways. My biggest piece of advice for you guys would be, I know you're tired, but you're not stuck unless you stop. Just keep moving. And even when you think you're not moving, you are. Keep your mental game strong, keep the negativity out, pour positive in. And if there's toxic guys on your team, you can't have toxicity right now with what you're up against as a business owner. And I'm speaking to, mainly business owners here, but hey, the number 2's on the team, your right-hand guy, my right-hand guy, you saw him earlier in this video, like, that guy and you have got to be inseparable right now. You've got to be talking to him. You've got to be telling him, hey, this is where, even if you don't know where you're going. I've talked to my guys, hey, what's 24 hold? Everybody's nervous. It's not just us as business owners suffering from high costs and not being able to sell work. Your boys at home can barely afford anything. They can barely afford groceries. They can barely put gas in their tank. They can't put tires on their truck. They can't, I get it. Everything's high. Their money doesn't go as far. Taxation is, 50% of everybody's income is dang near going back to the government at this moment. So 6 months of this year, we were working for them. And so if you have any mistake or stumble within that year, you need some help right now. And we ain't getting it from anybody. I can't go there. We're not gonna go there, guys. I'm not gonna go there. Told myself I wasn't going majorly political on this video. I'm just trying to let you guys know a little bit of advice. Winners win. Don't get caught up in, the economy, this, that. It's all negative, guys. You're up against the biggest brick wall you're ever gonna encounter in business from what I'm hearing, from what I've been told, etc. But I want you to understand something. If you have built a business and you've made it through the last 3-4 years in business, you've gone through COVID. You've gone through highest costs. You're living through American history currently as we speak. Our kids, and our kids' kids will get taught about this time. They'll talk about 08, but hopefully they'll figure out how to avoid this reoccurring every 16 years. We're just gonna keep praying for that. I'm just saying, stay positive, steer clear of the bull, and stay in your lane, and don't stop. Just keep moving. It's so easy to curl up, hit the old bed, and man, I just don't feel it today. You gotta feel it. You have to. Whether it's for your kids, whether it's for your wife, whether it's for yourself, or them guys that are counting on you at work. This is not the time. Fold in a towel, guys, and just coast. We moved into the shade. Summer's here. I know a lot of you guys have that want more mentality, right now mentality, and just take a breath. Look at what you got. You may just have to dial it in, whether it's back, whether it's dial it in. You may already have everything you need and you didn't even know it. Don't stop. Swing the sword every single day. Answer the phone calls. Deal with the problems. I heard the other day, stress is just decisions we haven't made yet. And man, boy, does that seem accurate here as of late. I'll be thinking about you guys. I see so many guys just folding in the towel right now. Don't give up, guys, seriously. 24 will be soon over before we know it. 25 will be here, 26 will be here, and rocking and rolling. That's where you gotta keep your view. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with good people on your team that are giving and ensuring that you're making your focus pointed in the right direction and making sure they channel you on the plan that you have given them and where you're going. That will help you a lot. Be honest with your people too. Dang, sorry, I was trying to wrap this video up, but be honest with your people. I can't tell you how far that has gotten me with the people and the team that I have. They are, I don't talk about them enough probably, but they are unbelievable at what they do. They care. But it's because I think some of this, number one, we have unbelievable people, but number two, I'm very honest with them. Hey guys, we're broke right now. So-and-so didn't pay, or this person didn't, another problem, GCs didn't turn her pay apps in. That's more frequent as of late. I didn't know it could get any more frequent as of 23, but people just not doing their jobs affects how I get to pay my people, and that's terrible. I don't like that. That's a totally different subject for another day, but guys, let me know down in the comments if any of this hits home. And I know this is definitely kind of a ranty, talky video. Apologies to the guys that are here for the montage and the glitz and the glamour. I'm just trying to be open. I'm just trying to get a little bit more vulnerable with you guys. This channel, our Facebook, Instagram, is fixing to definitely ramp up. Our merch store is getting completely revamped. Our website's going under a revamp. And the podcast is fixing to be on its own thing, guys, coming really quickly. And man, the people that are reaching out to get on that podcast, which is the Blue Collar Business Podcast. You can catch it on our homepage, hit the podcast section, and you'll see all 10 episodes or any podcast streaming, Spotify, iHeart, Apple, Amazon, all of them. You can get us on there. Give us a follow and let us know what you guys are thinking. We are bringing some really, really cool people. I am completely honored at the response we have had within that podcast and where we're going with that. So, man, some really cool things coming. If you guys have hung out all the way to the end of this video, you guys are the A-team, and I really appreciate you watching the entire thing. Hit a like on this video for me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And guys, we will see you next Saturday. Be good, be kind, be safe, be humble.